And then I'm going to go ahead and put you guys on mute unless there's anything else you want to say before we start. We're good? Okay. Yes, Emily.
I don't have the raise the hand button.
Oh.
I see 3 dots and then it says more, and then I just raise my hand like this.
Okay, so Emsley, I think if you scroll over your like your picture,
Make me scroll right.
you see those 3 little dots in a corner?
And I don't have it on a corner.
Can you move the cursor?
What's a cursor?
So you know, like the little arrow pointer thing? What are you on right now? Are you on a computer or a tablet?
iPad.
An iPad? Okay, so just touch the screen. You see the cursor move? The little arrow?
What's not working, honey?
Right, so then I can move over. And then wait, can I also do it over? Yeah, I can't do it anywhere. I can do it.
So Emsley, when you do that, do you see 3 dots above your or like in the corner of your picture?
Mine is like here. Right here.
You see it, sweetie?
Is that what you're trying to do?
Is that what you were trying to do? What were you trying to do?
There's this button that makes you like has a little raise your hand.
So
Oh,
if you see like
Right here.
3 little dots in a blue square or rectangle, and then you click that, and then it should have more, right, Zion?
Yeah, it says more right here. It just 3 dots say more under it,
okay.
and then
Oh, you see it right there, Emsley?
I name the participants.
Like that. And then,
Oh, you just
That's right.
raised your hand.
So now you can lower your hand.
okay, so then you click lower hand.
Okay.
Okay,
And when it's off, you go over to here.
And then I'll go hand.
just leave it up.
Hannah, do you know how to raise your hand on here? Because I felt bad. I went back and watched the video, and I saw one of the students patiently raising their hand, and I didn't even see it. So I was like, oh no, I better teach him what Zion did, because that I was able to see that pretty clearly. And I don't want to miss out on anything you have to share. Do you see it, Hannah? The raise your hand option?
It's just under more for me.
Well, everybody is on like
Yeah,
possibly on like different devices, and how it shows up can be a little different. So let me see if I can find mine.
There's a chat button.
I don't know if I have the option of raising my hand. You should do a tutorial, Zion.
Is there any way that I can show my iPad? Oh, I can send a video on Class Dojo.
Yeah, well, you could do you can do a screen share, but I don't know about that. I think I might have turned off the settings where participants can do that.
Oh.
Well, if you don't know how to raise your hand on the Zoom, just wave your hand frantically and hopefully I'll see it. Otherwise, you can ask at the end if you can remember. I hate waiting too long when I have something I want to ask or share. I always end up forgetting. So, all right. We will get started. I'm going to put everyone on mute if that's all right. Okie doke. Here we go. So Olaf has a loose tooth. One day at school, Miss Johnson said to Olaf, "Why do you keep putting your fingers in your mouth?" He looked very embarrassed and then said, "I have a loose tooth." "Pull it out then when you get home," said Miss Johnson, "but not now. We have to do arithmetic now. Tomorrow we will all look at the gap where your tooth was." Olaf looked terrified because he thinks it's scary to pull a tooth, no matter how loose it is. I do too. My goodness, it wouldn't hurt to pull out a little baby tooth like that, Daddy says. Maybe it doesn't hurt so much, but it's still scary. Daddy gives us 10 öre for every tooth he pulls out. So öre is this old-time Swedish coins. Hi, Olivia. Hi. Oh, it's good to see you. I'm so glad you were able to make it. Of course, he only pulls out the ones that are loose, but that's quite enough because I think he almost always have a loose tooth. Bill isn't a bit afraid of pulling out his teeth, so he really shouldn't get 10 öre when he pulls one. He just puts a heavy thread around the tooth and gives it a jerk, and the tooth is out. Daddy gives 10 öre anyway because he's so brave. But Olaf, poor thing, is more scared than I am of pulling teeth. He let us all feel his loose tooth when we were walking home from school. It was really loose. "I can jerk that one out for you in no time," Bill said. "You're not jerking out anything," said Olaf. He hung his head all the way home and hardly said a word. "Don't feel sad because you have a loose tooth," I said. "It's really nothing." I said this because it was Olaf's tooth and not mine. It's only when you have a loose tooth yourself that it's scary. "I know," said Carl. "When we get home, you can tie a piece of strong thread around the tooth and we'll tie the other end to the fence. Then I'll heat an iron skewer till it's red hot and swish it back and forth right in front of your nose. Then you'll be so scared that you'll jump backward and the tooth will pop out." You guys, I don't think this is a good idea. I really don't. "Iron skewers indeed," Olaf said angrily. He didn't like that idea at all. But he did tie a piece of strong black thread around his tooth when we got home, so he could pull at it from time to time and make the tooth still looser. In some way, he had to try to get rid of it because Miss Johnson had said she wanted to take a look at the gap the next day. I think that's what worried Olaf the most. He had to have the tooth out by the next day or Miss Johnson would know he was afraid of pulling teeth. Anna tried to console him. She said, "Don't worry, Miss Johnson will probably forget all about your tooth tomorrow." But Anna knew just as well as Olaf that Miss Johnson never forgets anything. Carl says she has a memory like an elephant's. Goodness, I wish I had that problem. We played ball down the road as we usually do on spring evenings, and the whole time the long black thread hung out of Olaf's mouth. It looked so funny when he ran. At times he forgot the tooth and the thread and the whole bother, and then he laughed and talked as usual, but all of a sudden he would look sad and peculiar and would tug the thread and sigh. And that is Olaf. See? Not a snowman, just a little boy with a thread out of his mouth. It's crazy. It's only fastened by a thin little piece of skin. For goodness sakes, pull it out, one of us would say. Olaf shuddered when he heard this. It's that last little piece of skin that's the worst. Hey, kitty. Just cute. When we got tired of playing ball, we went up to grandfather's and told him that Olaf has a loose tooth. He has to pull it out tonight, said Carl, because Miss Johnson wants to see the gap tomorrow. Olaf almost started to cry when Carl said that. My, oh my, said grandfather. Speaking of teeth, I remember when I was a little boy. Yes, grandfather, tell us what happened when you were a little boy, Anna said, and climbed up into his lap. Then grandfather said that when he was a little boy, he had a terrible toothache for a whole month until finally he went to the blacksmith to have the tooth pulled. Oofda. There were no dentists where he lived. The blacksmith, oh. Oh, okay. See if Miss Dahlgren can read this. Okay. The blacksmith took a big pair of pliers. Ooh. Okay. And pulled out grandfather's tooth, and it hurt terribly. Yikes. Okay. But after, okay, Zion has a question.
I got a tooth pulled out by the dentist before too.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
It really didn't hurt.
Did they numb it? They probably numbed it pretty well.
They numbed.
I don't think grandfather had his teeth numbed.
Yeah, probably.
Oh, oh. All right, let's keep going. Ugh. But after that, grandfather went home. He got an awful toothache again because the blacksmith pulled the wrong tooth. Oh no. Oofta. Okay, grandfather then had a toothache for another month, but he didn't care to go back to the blacksmith because it hurt so to have big molars pulled with a pair of pliers. But finally, the tooth ached so badly, he had to go back. That time, the blacksmith pulled the right tooth, but he almost lifted grandfather out of the chair to do it. Oh my gosh, this is brutal. Oh, because the tooth had such big roots and was so hard to get out. Oh my. Poor grandfather, said Olaf. Oh man, that helps with some perspective. That helps you realize, well, maybe my little toothache isn't that bad. Or maybe having a loose tooth isn't that bad. Okay. I think that Olaf thought his own tooth was just as terrible to get out, although it didn't have any roots at all. Just imagine, grandfather, you were once a little child afraid of having teeth pulled, Anna said. My, oh my, how that was a long time ago, said grandfather. Now I only have 3 teeth left, and they'll fall out by themselves any day. So now you'll never have to be afraid again, said Anna. No, my little friend, I never have to be afraid again, said grandfather. Then he went to the corner cupboard and took out some barley sugar for us. He gave us each a piece and said, you shouldn't eat barley sugar. It'll give you a toothache. My, oh my. Oh goodness, that's some mixed messages. And then we said goodnight to grandfather and left. Well, how about your tooth? Carl said. Is it going to sit there till you're as old as grandfather? Olaf got mad, and I don't blame him. Is it in your way? He said. Is it in your way? He said. After all, it's my tooth, isn't it? Yes, but when are you going to pull it out? Said Britta. Olaf tugged a little on the thread and said, tomorrow morning, maybe? Then he ran home and Carl said, I feel sorry for Olaf. I know what I'll do. When he has gone to sleep, I'm going to climb in his room and pull his tooth for him. But do you really think you could do that? We said, of course, he said. Carl Erickson, DDS, extracts teeth under complete anesthesia. Then we said we wanted to come along and look. So we all ran up to Bill and Carl's room and waited. We heard Olaf fussing around with something in his room on the other side of the linden tree. Finally, Carl said, are you going to go to bed soon, Olaf? Go to bed yourself, Olaf said. Bill and I are already in bed, Carl replied. We giggled quietly because they were only lying on top of their beds and still had their clothes on. Aren't you sleepy, Olaf? Called Bill after a while. Yes, but you're making so much noise I can't sleep, said Olaf. So we thought he must have gone to bed by then. Turn out the light, Olaf, Carl said. Turn out your own light. Olaf answered, and Carl did, and we sat in the dark and waited. After a while, Olaf turned out his light. I hope he goes to sleep because otherwise I will, said Anna and yawned. Just then we heard something rustle in the linden tree. It was Olaf on his way over to our house. Britta and Anna and I sneaked quickly into the closet. Carl and Bill crept down in their beds and pulled the covers up to their chins. Bill, said Olaf while he climbed through the window, I'll probably be sick tomorrow, so I won't be able to go to school. In that case, you don't need to wait for me. Sick? Why should you be sick? Carl said. You went to bed in decent time. You'd be as healthy as a fish. I have a stomach ache, said Olaf, and crept back to his room. I'm sure he had a stomach ache just because he was so nervous on account of his tooth. We waited a long, long time, and finally we were so sleepy that we could hardly keep our eyes open. He must have gone to sleep by now, Carl said at last. And then he crept out onto the linden tree. Are you awake, Olaf? He said as quietly as he could. No, I'm fast asleep, said Olaf. So we had to sit down and wait some more. Finally, Carl said he was going to go over to see if Olaf had gone to sleep. If he hadn't, there was something wrong with him. And then Carl would go and get the doctor. So we all crept through the tree as quietly as we could. Carl had brought his flashlight and he flashed it on Olaf's bed. There he lay, fast asleep, with the black thread trailing out of his mouth. It's still in his mouth. Oh my goodness, poor kid. Oh, I got so scared. What if it hurt a lot and Olaf started to cry? What would he say if he saw us all standing there? Carl took a firm grip on the thread and whispered, 1, 2, 3, pull. And just as he said pull, he pulled. And there hung the tooth, dangling on the thread. Olaf didn't even wake up. He just mumbled in his sleep, I have a stomach ache. Bill tried to wake him up, but he couldn't. Carl said it was just as well because now Olaf would think a ghost had been in his room and pulled his tooth. Carl tied the string to a light fixture in the ceiling, and there the tooth hung, where it would be the first thing that Olaf would see when he woke up. How happy he would be. Olaf didn't have a stomach ache the next day. He was standing outside his gate waiting for us as usual. He laughed so you could see a gap in his upper jaw. Was it you who did it, Carl? He asked. And then we told him that we had all been in his room. Olaf laughed still more when he heard what he had said in his sleep. He was so happy that he jumped up and down and kicked all the stones that lay in the road. Then he said, it really isn't too bad to have your teeth pulled. No, not under anesthesia. Goodness, that's a tricky word to say. Yes, anesthesia. Pretty sure that's how I say it, said Carl. And that is the stuff that doctors will give patients so that they go into a deep sleep, so that way they can do like surgeries and stuff. We decided that we'd pull out one another's teeth at night. Well, I mean the loose ones, of course. Otherwise, that would be a nightmare. Okay, when we got to school, Olaf went right up to Miss Johnson, opened his mouth wide, and said, "Look, Miss Johnson, I pulled out my tooth." I'm the one who did, to be more truthful, Carl mumbled at his desk, but Miss Johnson didn't hear him. All right, so I'm going to unmute you guys. That is a pretty silly story, huh?
I know what anesthesia is because I heard the word a lot.
Oh, really?
Mhm.
Yeah, I realized as I read it, I'm like, how do I say that again? Because I don't hear it very much. Yeah.
My cat really just got up here, so I wanted to show him.
What's that?
My cat literally just jumped up here, so I wanted to show him. To the
Oh, it's so cute and fuzzy.
camera. I got another cat, but it died.
So Olivia, where are you? Olivia. Oh, I don't know. Where are you at, sweetheart?
Huh?
Where are you?
At my mom's work.
Oh, nice. Oh, I'm so glad you're able to join. That's probably a little tricky getting that coordinated and having to do stuff. I'm happy you were able to make it. It's so nice to see your face. Well, my friends, I should probably let you guys go. I have some work to do. But I'm so happy I got to see you guys. And Monday, don't miss it because it is the funniest story ever. I think it cracks me up really bad. I hope I can get it together and I won't laugh for 14 hours, but we'll see. No promises. All right, you guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Have a good weekend.
You too.
See you Monday, hopefully.
Okay. I'll probably be on Zoom.
Oh, good.